Just a friendly reminder that the opinions expressed on this show are not worth a Canadian penny, so disregard anything you hear that might get anyone in trouble. And despite some of the great ideas you may hear, don't try them at home. Go to a friend's house instead.
It's time to get a gun. That's what I've been thinking. Well, I could afford one. And if I did just a little less drinking, time to put something between me and the sun. When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.
Hello and welcome to episode 184. You hear that? It's 184. There is no and, Brian or Kevin. Paul Carlson, I appreciate your efforts in trying to educate Brian on how to pronounce numbers. Episode 184, Kids of Slamfire Radio for December 9th, 2016. I am one of your hosts, Trevor, the anal retentive OCD child, the Frelatte.
Wow, that's quite the intro. That's, I'm Matthew, and just very slightly confused.
Which part?
About who I am, mostly. Has nothing to do with your rant, no. Okay. You think everything's about you.
No, it's just my rants aren't confusing. I mean,
right, well, they kind of are. I mean, I wasn't part of that, whole Facebook conversation, so I didn't know what.
It was a Facebook conversation. It was a hateful message on a podcast, hurtful even. So, but we're fine.
That's hurtful. That's very hurtful.
Yes, Toner, that is hurtful. They don't even know.
Adriel, along for the ride, Michaud?
Yep, and I'm Kelly.
So, Kelly, would you like to discuss this foolish bet that you got suckered into making, when are we going to discuss this?
Oh, I think now's a perfect time.
Now's a good time. All right.
Well, we're already off the rails anyway. So
look, there's no sense in even attempting to recover from this. So let's just flow with it and see where we end up.
Okay. So Kelly said she wasn't going to shave her legs, and I said, Kelly, if you shave your legs,
no. I said, winter's coming.
Right.
And I don't know how we got to that point. And I said, well, winter's coming. I'm not going to shave my legs.
And it
was like embrace the Sasquatch or something like that.
Yeah.
Free Long Johns.
and I'm opposed to this so much so that I said, I will pay you to shave your legs. And you said,
I will pay. No, you said you would shave your legs.
No. I said to you, I will pay you if you shave your legs. And your reply to that was,
I'd pay you to shave your legs. I'd buy you a Hunter X22 Magpul stock for your new 1022, and you said sold.
Here we are. I got razor in hand and no 1022 stock. What the hell?
I said crap. Because most people have dignity. And then I forgot. You're Trevor.
Right. And not only do I have to shave my legs, I said, oh, yeah. And we'll do it live on the show.
Right.
So we need to set this up. And maybe this is a Patreon-y thing. I don't know. We have a live show.
No, we can't. We can't subject our Patreonies to that. This is something that we want them to stay Patreonies. We don't want to drive them away. This is for the regular folk who,
So if we're going to offend people, we're not.
We might as well offend everybody
for free,
right? For free, of course.
So
you were away for this part of the conversation, I think, but we're pretty sure this should be one of those live video shows that we do.
Remember, I said I have a plan.
Yeah.
Well, here's the plan.
All right, I'm listening.
Okay, we haven't done a live show for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. So why don't we do a live show about Christmas? We've already asked some of our listeners.
Because what's more festive than Trevor shaving his legs? Because that really puts the jingle back in the bells.
But hey, you know what? I've also decided that if I'm buying you a stock, right, and you're shaving your legs, why don't we do it as a Christmas thing, do it live, and see if maybe we can raise some money for somebody to have some Christmas,
besides Trevor, who's getting a stock.
Why do we always have to do good for other people? Now we're going to raise some money and donate it to somebody who's less fortunate than us and help give them a brighter Christmas?
Right.
Weird.
Like Christmas presents for kids, and turkey for dinner and all that. Maybe like Ronald McDonald's house where people are there because their child's in.
I like that.
In the hospital and yeah.
So
we'll bang out the details at some point. But yeah, I'm thinking live show is in the near future, definitely before Christmas.
Look, do I get a stock out of this?
You don't get a say in it, that's for sure.
You'll feel great after raising all that money for charity, though. So,
and you'll feel great after razoring all of your legs.
Right.
So about the stock, it's going to be black, right?
It'll grow in.
Well, if you have a spray can of,
No,
It's going to be black? Listen, here's the thing. I have communicated with somebody that I shop with regularly, and they're getting them in, so I'm trying to arrange it. And he says all kinds of colors are coming in.
But there's only one color, and that's black.
Well, if it's flat darker,
absence.
then it might be black darker. But I will not get you a pink one because I'm not that mean.
Aww. You're too kind.
Maybe.
Let's see.
I'm going to try for black.
All right.
Is there a
well,
flat,
Trevor, you could
dark
stipulate.
pink?
I mean, it's your legs, right?
Well, this is what I'm saying,
That's
right?
the thing. You can just say, look, if it's not black, I'm not doing it.
Right, and I think I need the stock up front. I need some kind of insurances, because once my legs are shaved, what's to stop you from stiffing me on the stock?
Well, what's to stop you from growing your hair back?
Neat.
Hey,
I will.
you know what? I'm a woman of my words. I'll get it for you. And I'll prove that I've gotten it for you.
All right, I trust you.
And that was
Not
his first
something-
mistake.
Which is not something I've ever said to a woman before. So, all right, there you go, listeners. That's the latest shenanigans that we're up to. And keep in mind, there's also going to be an SKS fundraiser going on as well in the new year.
That's at the charity shoot, right?
Yeah, well, we're going to give it away at the charity shoot, but we'll sell the raffle tickets on it.
Oh,
and
okay, right.
Decide who gets it before that.
Right.
So, yeah, and I have to shoot an SKS while wearing a dress.
Hey.
And
stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Dignity.
You gotta just fix your mic there just a little bit, Trev. Just pull it up just a touch. You're breathing into it just a smidge.
Okay. Is it better now?
It is. Yeah.
Super. That pleases me. All right. Are we ready to carry on?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right.
We're talking about leg shaving? Yeah.
Nope.
That's the part of the show.
Now it's about guns. McClatch,
Okay.
what have you been up to?
I've been doing some stuff, having some fun, shooting some guns, going to the range, making some noise. I finished up the Volquartsen video. Listeners may remember that Matt Doucette donated his Volquartsen Fusion. And by donate, I mean gave to me permanently, right?
Yep.
Kidding. Yeah, I'm done with it though, Matt. So if you want to get a hold of me again and we can meet in town, I can give you your rifle back. Or better yet, let's go to the range and shoot it, because that would be way more fun. So let me know when you're free to go to the range and we'll go and we'll shoot that and we'll have some fun. So yeah, I finished shooting that video and got it edited and put together, and it's up on YouTube now. So I think I shared it on the Slamfire Facebook page, so listeners can go check that out there if they're so inclined. And I did some more PAR shooting. Where were we with the Saga?
Last week, you had gone out and did the testing at my range, weren't impressed, and was going to load up some more test loads and try again.
Okay, so
Your
I was at.
accuracy was bad last time.
Yeah, it was terrible. Okay, so we definitely got some noticeable improvement. I loaded up some hand loads, which incidentally, I reread the note that came with it from Troy when they sent it back, and they said, don't shoot steel-cased ammo, don't shoot hand loads, and don't shoot American Eagle. So I reread this after having been to the gun store and picked up some steel-cased ammo and some American Eagle, and I've been shooting hand loads through it ever since I got it back, so there's that. But however, the hand loads that I tried through it after I came back from the range from Trevor's, I loaded up some 27 grain Varget behind a 55 VMAX projectile, and I got a .8 MOA group at 100 yards. So some sort of magic voodoo sort of all came together in some sort of glorious combination of harmonics and velocities and I don't know what, but angels danced and the heavens opened and light streamed down, and my rifle shoots relatively accurately with that load.
Yeah, well,
so,
I was telling you guys that the 308 par that I was shooting there, it was inaccurate with more types of ammo than it was accurate, and it's just this one box that we tried of factory ammo that was excellent. But it was really it's a picky rifle.
They really are, and I think it has something to do with the fact that the barrel isn't heavy. It's just sort of a standard profile size, but it has a decently weighted muzzle device on it. It comes from the factory with a pretty hefty muzzle brake. I am not one for muzzle brakes. I do not like them at all, mostly because when I'm out hunting, I don't want to wear ear protection, so I don't want to blow my eardrums out with a muzzle brake. So I replaced it with again, a fairly decent sized flash hider. It has to be fairly decent size. It has to be at least 2 inches long. Otherwise, it's no longer a non-restricted firearm because the overall length is shorter if you take the muzzle brake off and replace it with something that's not at least 2 inches long. So anyway, I did replace it, and I'm thinking that the lighter profile or the normal profile, and then that big weight on the end, you're going to get some pretty funny whips going on, some pretty funky harmonics whenever you shoot it. And I think that is why you really have to dial it in and find that exact load that it likes. Otherwise, it's just going to whip the bullets all over the place. Does that seem to make sense to anybody?
Yeah. I mean, something is causing inconsistency with different ammo. But I mean, like the thing to do here is to find what ammo it likes and then just use that ammo.
And that's what I've done. I'm going to be loading up a bunch more of this 27 grain load that I had developed. And today, like I said, I had picked up some American Eagle and some MFS brass case or steel cased ammo, and I took it out today just for fun because I wanted to find something off the shelf that I could at least get 2 MOA with, just so that I didn't have to rely on my hand loads if I wanted to go out in a gravel pit and just plink and have some fun with some cheap ammo without worrying too much about the cost and the effort of putting it all together. So both the American Eagle and the MFS actually shot under 2 MOA. The American Eagle edged it out, so that's the stuff that I'll shoot through it whenever I'm just out plinking and just want to kind of blow off some ammo without wasting my hand loads. But I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why the inconsistency is there with so many different types of ammo, but then you just happen to find those right ones, and it really shrinks those groups down, and it really becomes a real joy to shoot. It is so much fun to shoot. Both times that I've been out to the range this week, or all 3 times, I guess, I always made sure I saved some ammo to just kind of blast off, not from the bench, just standing up and shooting it like I would be out in the woods or, if I was hunting or whatever, just because that's the kind of gun it is. It's not a bench gun. It's not supposed to be shot from the bench. It's a get up and go kind of running through the woods kind of gun. So I definitely made sure I experienced some of that while I was at the range. It was a lot of fun. I'm really, really liking this rifle. It's amazing how you can absolutely detest a gun just because it won't do one thing right, and then as soon as you fix it, it's all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is my favorite gun ever.
Yeah.
So it's definitely staying in the truck with me now. It's my new truck gun. It'll be in there probably along with a 22 as well, because I like to have a 22 with me wherever I go. But it's going to be a lot of fun to play with in the next coming months for sure. Other than
Yay, it's fixed.
Yay. Other than that, I got a new staple gun because, it's the small things in life. I bought a staple gun last year, and it broke within a couple of months of using it. Just a piece of garbage. And then I got another one, and it wouldn't reset. So you staple, and then you let go, and it just won't reset. You can't get the second staple to activate, or it just wouldn't fire. Like, it was just a piece of garbage. So I left it at the range.
Sounds like the high point of staplers.
It kind of is. It was polymer, too. But anyway, I went back to Canadian Tire tonight, pick up a new one, and I just wanted a standard run-of-your-mill, all steel, just your everyday mom, pop, what your grandpa's got in the back shed staple gun, because those things seem to be reliable and they seem to work. And they didn't have any of those in stock. They had nothing like that. All they had were these weird, funky, forward stapling crap. And if you guys are wondering why I'm going on about staple guns, it's because we use them a lot in IPSC. Everybody should really have their own staple gun if you're shooting IPSC to help put up targets. But anyway, I found one. It's a compact size, but it still shoots full-size staples, the T50s. That's sort of the holy grail, I think. So I'm excited to fire that thing up this summer whenever we get IPSC shooting again. But yeah, that was my week. Trevor, I guess it's your turn.
Awesome. Yeah. I continued with the brass prep. I had been I talked about this many months ago about pulling 2,000 rounds of 223 because I thought I had put too much powder in the cases. Well, I continued to pull them not because of the powder, because I realized that the brass wasn't trimmed correctly, and I had brass that was very different lengths throughout, so the OCD will not abide that. So I pulled it all and then sorted it by what was the correct length or longer and what was too short. So what's too short? Well, I'll get full N3 size. Then it'll get sorted again by what's the correct length and needs to be trimmed, and what's too short. What's too short will get tossed because I want all my brass to be the same length because OCD, and what's too short will just get thrown in the brass recycling bucket. So there's that project that was going on. And then Snuffleupagus came over with his 1022, and he has a very cool 1022. It's some Target Tactical, I think is the model. It's all black, naturally. It has a Hogue stock, which has this real cool, bumpy, rubbery texture on it. And the coolest bull barrel that I've seen on a 22 yet. It's 18.5 inches, maybe. Could be even shorter. I'm not sure. It's got like this real cool spiral type pattern on the outside. Beautiful. All stock, though, as far as the internals are concerned, which is a problem for me. When I get mine, there's going to be some serious modification going on. What is this? No bolt lock open thing, and what is this? No insert a mag and snap the bolt and let it go. Like my 597 has those features right out of the box, and a 1022 doesn't.
You can't get a last shot bolt hold open, and I'm lying because you can, but it's not worth it because you have to have special mags for it to work. But
really?
The slingshot mod is doable, no problem. The good news is about the last shot bolt hold open, 1022s can be dry fired to your heart's content. You won't damage it by dropping the hammer on an empty chamber. So whenever you run out, you just get a click at the end, then you know you're empty, and you put a new mag in and you charge it.
Yeah. See, with my Remington 597, which I had out at the range on Saturday, it was Muffin and Snuffleupagus, and I did some shooting. After we mounted his scope, then we went to the range to zero it. And I hadn't checked the zero on my 597 in a while, and I'm glad I brought it out because I was finally convinced after this range trip to move the scope forward one notch on the rail because the eye relief just wasn't happening in my natural head position. So, but yeah, the 597 VTR Remington that I have is kind of their tactical version of the Remington 597 semi-auto. The bolt locks back on an empty mag, but only on the factory aluminum mag. Those plastic 30-round mags that you can get aren't very reliable, and it'll lock open on some and not on others. And I can see a ping mark from the firing pin on the chamber, which isn't cool. Eventually that could run and cause some problems, maybe with misfires.
Yep, definitely. Now, yeah, I'd have to look at it, but it may be possible to just shorten your firing pin just a touch to stop that from happening, but it depends on how it's mounted in there. You might not be able to. It might that's just going to happen. So,
well, you did stretch one for me once, so I'm sure that if you can stretch firing pins, you can shorten them. So
yep, I do remember that. I don't remember how I did that now, but I do remember stretching the firing pin for you because you were getting light primer strikes, right?
Yeah, it was the 22 conversion kit for an AR that Filthy gave me, and it wasn't quite working right, and you fixed it, and I asked you what you did, and with a straight face, you said I stretched the firing pin, and I asked no more questions.
Because it worked.
So, yeah. So I think also it's time that I take the M Carbo spring kit out of my 597 because the same thing is happening to me that was happening to you in your 795. Too many weak primer strikes because the hammer spring is too light in order to lighten the trigger. I mean, the trigger is amazing. It's got a Volquartsen hammer and an M Carbo spring kit, and the trigger is just fantastic. It's so short and so light, and the reset's nice. But out of a 30-round mag, I'm probably getting 3 to 5 duds.
Yeah, that's too much. What I did is I left all of the M Carbo springs in except for the hammer spring. So I just replaced that back with the factory, and my light primer strikes went away. And it wasn't the light, it wasn't as light as it was. The trigger wasn't as light as it was before, but it was still lighter than factory. Yeah. So that's still an option. You can get your heavy hit back, but you're going to get just a little bit heavier trigger.
Yeah, there's not as many springs in the Remington as there is in the Marlin. Not nowhere near. I think there's only one spring that comes in the M Carbo kit, and it's the hammer spring.
Oh,
I
well,
don't
in that
think
case, yeah, you're just gonna have to live with a
Well,
heavier trigger.
it wasn't bad anyway. It was
No, it
never
wasn't.
as heavy. No, it
No.
was never as heavy as the 795. So
No, the 795 triggers are atrocious out of the box, but
yeah. And then speaking of triggers, my Tanfoglio limited custom. No, it's not my limited custom. That thing is amazing. My Tanfoglio Stock 3 Extreme. I believe I've complained about the trigger on here before. The Stock 3 is a double action, single action gun. So in IPSC and production division, the first shot has to be fired in double action, and then of course the gun becomes a single action, like your SIGs or your Berettas or your CZ 75s. Well, the double action out of the box, it comes with a 15-pound mainspring, and it's just way too heavy. So I had some 13-pound Wolf springs here, so I installed one of those. I finally got the gun apart. First of all, I had never disassembled a Tanfoglio, let alone a double action Tanfoglio. Not as bad as I thought, to be perfectly honest. I got everything apart by myself and was able to reassemble everything by myself, but I did look up a video on how to reinstall the trigger return spring. Matt Lorette told me how to reinstall the sear spring, so just with his instruction, his instructions were pliers are your friend. Needle nose pliers are your friend. So he was right. They were my friend. That being said, it still took about 15 minutes to reassemble the sear cage. Now, I know it was my first time, but I mean, Matt and Mo have ripped these sear cages apart so many times that they can do it by themselves at a match. And I've heard Sean Hansen say it takes 3 hands, and it kind of does. Like I was balancing my knuckle, and I had my elbow in there, and the pliers and the tweezers in my teeth. It was an adventure, but I got it back together. Polished the trigger bar, polished the sear and the hammer very, 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 very lightly. I don't want to have the gun go full auto or anything silly happen. I'm not a gunsmith. I don't have the proper files or the tools. When it comes to doing 1911 triggers, Andy Shan has this special jig that he puts the sear in, and he uses these magnifying glasses and the whole 9 yards, right? I'm
Just
not there.
eyeball it with a Dremel.
Well,
All this jigs and that
yeah,
kind of thing.
no. See, that's what you do to your high point or your 870. So, no, don't be eyeballing the sear on a $2,000 gun. You need to have it done professionally. So, I did polish it, but I was very conservative in my polishing, and the spring helped, but it didn't do the best job in the world. And when you change the mainspring to a 13-pound, they say that it will only reliably fire rounds loaded with Federal primers. Now, there is a solution to that, and it's the Titan hammer. A Titan hammer is an aftermarket hammer made by Tanfoglio, and it's lightweight. So with the 13-pound spring, you install the lightweight hammer and a lightweight firing pin spring, and then it'll go back to shooting all types of primers reliably. So I placed that order with Freedom Ventures today. $140 for a hammer. Like a hammer, $140. Crazy.
really
that's
nice?
crazy. That's too much.
It got like some color on it or some holes or something. Little fast holes.
Yeah, it's got speed holes for sure. No, it's just it's a better product than what's in the gun now, and lightweight and blah blah blah, and it's got Eric Raffel licked it, so it's worth money, right? So,
Ooh.
what else? Yeah, so that's the trigger job on the Tanfoglio started. The springs in, everything's polished. Waiting on a new hammer and another set of springs for a gun that I don't even shoot in competition, but I just can't abide a bad trigger.
Trevor, just before you go on here, one of my buddies was looking at the Shadow 2 and the Stock 2 Extreme and the Stock 3 Extreme. Could you describe, like, you've what, shot all these guns, owned all these guns?
Shot them all, handled them all, owned some of them. I've owned, shot several Shadows, owned a Shadow for a short period of time. Shot Stock 2s, Stock 2 Extremes. I mean, because of SummerSlam and working the chronograph, if it's an IPSC gun, I probably shot it.
Well,
so
can you tell us just a little bit about all of those and pros, cons, that kind of thing?
All right. Let's start with the 210 Foglios. The Stock 2 has a shorter sight radius than the Stock 3 and a bull barrel. Besides that, they're identical. Stock 3, long sight radius, a rail on the frame, and a non-bull barrel. The way to go of all of these guns, the Shadow 2, the Stock 2, the Stock 3, definitely get the Extremes. But the way to go is to order an Australian length stock 2 extreme. Now here's why you want the Australian length stock 2. The Australian length stock 2 has the same sight radius as the stock 3. You don't have a rail, so it's easier for holsters, and you don't need a rail anyway on an IPSC gun. And the weight is still there, longer sight radius, and the bull barrel. I like the stock 3 because of the longer sight radius. I don't like the fact that the stock 3 has a non-bull barrel, but I opt for the longer sight radius and sacrifice the barrel. If you get an Australian length stock 2, you don't have to sacrifice sight radius, and you get the bull barrel. It's available. You just ask for it, and that's the one they bring in for you. They may even have them in stock. Freedom Ventures is the distributor for Tanfoglio, and that's the gun that Sean Hansen shoots, the stock 2 extreme Australian length. So you get the long sight radius and the bull barrel. The differences between the Shadow and the Shadow 2, a lot of it is ergonomics on the outside. The gun is a lot heavier than it used to be, which is awesome when you're shooting 9mm, but some production guys are saying it's almost too heavy and that it slows them down on transitions from one target to the other. Like, it's heavy. It's heavy. It's heavier in my stock 2. It's heavier in my stock 3. It's heavier in stock 2. It's probably the heaviest production pistol being made right now. I don't know if there's well, Matthew, you're an RO. I'm an RO. I've never heard anything about the weight of a pistol. I know in IDPA, there's a rule about how heavy your pistol can be, but in IPSC, there must not be, because this thing is heavy. A trigger out of the box on the stock 2, on the Shadow 2s that I've handled are very similar to the stock 3. They're heavy and they stack and they're creepy. It's not that this one creeps, but it stacks. There's a stacking to it. It really gets heavy at the end. So, stacking is when you start pulling it and it gets heavier as it gets closer to breaking. That's stacking. And my stock 3 does that, and the Shadow 2 that I fired did that as well. They've improved. They've added adjustable sights to the stock 2, which the stock 1 didn't have. They've added, changed the cocking serrations, changed the looks. Really, really nice looking pistol. If you're going to get a Shadow 2, or go into the Tanfoglios. I prefer the Tanfoglios over the CZs, but remember, the Tanfoglio is a clone of the CZ, so you're basically getting the same gun with slightly different ergonomics in the Tanfoglio line.
And it's more expensive, right?
The Tanfoglios?
Yeah.
Probably the extreme guns are over $2,000, or the Shadows are not that much.
Yeah, they're like 1,300, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So,
cool, thanks.
Thank you.
No problem. The other thing that I did this week was yesterday, my Mossberg 930 JM Pro Tactical class arrived, and I liked it better before it was mine. I've seen this gun before at the range. I've shot this gun. He had an AFG under the forend and a rail on it. Don't remember him having an optic, but there was a rail on it when I got it. And it has a Mesa Tactical pistol grip stock. It came with the original furniture. It came with an Osprey Ordnance follower, which is awesome. But one thing I didn't realize about the JM Pro, it's a 22-inch barrel. It's heavy. My Versamax has a 26-inch barrel and is easily 2 to 3 pounds lighter than this shotgun. The only shotgun I have in the house. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's that significant, Adriel. I will get them on the scale, and for the listeners that are curious, I'll throw it out there next week or post it on Facebook or something. But I can't get over how heavy it is compared to my Versamax, and it could be the additional weight of the Mesa Tactical pistol grip stock, because it's quite beefy and chunky, and it's got an adjustable comb on it. But with this stock, the stock is quite short. With this stock and this being a 22-inch gun, it is a nice, compact little semi-automatic package. I hope it runs well. I mean, I shot it before and it didn't have any problems. The gun is basically new. Like, there's not a mark on it. I know Charlie took good care of his stuff, and he didn't shoot like he wasn't into competition like we are. He may have shot a 3-gun, I'm not sure, or was going to. Anyway, the gun's in excellent condition. I got a really good price on it. and I'm happy with it, but I'm not falling in love with it like I thought I would. It's like when he opened up his case and he had his pistol and his AR and this shotgun in there, it just seems so much cooler than my Versamax. And now that I have it, I'm like, oh yeah, the trigger is only kind of okay, and the action is, well, it's certainly not as smooth as my Remington, but the bolt release isn't threaded, and it's a 3-inch chamber, so I can't get a lot of ammo in it. Ghost loading is a nightmare. Oh my goodness. It's so much easier to load a 3.5-inch, to do a ghost load with a 3.5-inch gun.
Yeah, a lot more room.
Oh man, you pull the charging handle back and to try and do the ghost load, and there goes the extra shell out of the tube. Now, what is the control on a semi-automatic shotgun near the trigger guard that you depress that allows a shell to come out under the lifter or to help you lock the bolt back? Like, is there a name for that?
The shell releaser bolt hold open thingamabobber.
That one, yeah. It's certainly not the bolt release. You know, when your bolt is cycling back and forth and not locking back, you hit this button, you pull the bolt back, and it locks it open. The Mossberg doesn't have that. It does everything on the bolt release. Yeah. If you want to let a shell come out of the tube, you hit the bolt release button. If you want to release the bolt, you hit the bolt release button. The one button does both things. It's kind of awkward. I'm not used to that yet. The other issue I have is a pistol grip stock on a Mossberg shotgun is always a pain in the butt because of where the safety is located. So, yeah, I'm almost positive I'm taking off the pistol grip stock.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. I'm of the same opinion that the Tang safety just does not facilitate good pistol grip usage. Just you got to really break your grip to get up there to manipulate it, and it's just not a good position.
It's that, Matthew, and I just don't love a pistol grip on a shotgun.
And neither do I. I thought I did. I used to
Me
did.
too. Yeah.
I used to did all of my shotguns before, I don't know. Anyway, a while ago. I don't want to age myself. I don't care. I just can't remember how far back it was. But yeah, all of my shotguns used to have pistol grips, and then one day I was like, why am I doing this? It feels better when you have a straight, like a regular stock. It shoots better, it points better, everything's better. I guess it's just personal preference, but for me, I like a regular stock over a pistol grip.
Yeah, and reloading in 3-gun, that pistol grip gets in the way. If you're going to do a weak hand, it jams up on your side, and if you're going to do strong hand, it's mostly out of the way. But I mean, it's not helping you.
No, and I mean, I was thinking about replacing my Versamax with this for a 3-gun. I mean, Jerry uses it, right? So it's got to be awesome. But I'm losing one round, and I can't imagine an RO not wanting to stab me in the neck while waiting for me to figure out how to ghost load this thing.
Well, the one round, like if you're load twos and quad loading it, the one round doesn't do a lot for you because it's an odd number to go from 6 to 7, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But you're feeding them in one at a time kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess you could use that extra round if you had a 3.5-inch chambered shotgun.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a tactical shotgun. So it's very reminds me of a duty firearm, not a gaming firearm. If that makes sense. Get those loaders that you push in. That Jerry uses the quiver on the side that's got like the 5-round pusher kind of thing. I don't know what to call it. And then get that chute that goes on it. I know someone who's selling one of those for a Mossberg 930. You want to get into that deal? Yeah. Man, and when they work, man, they work great.
Oh, he's like grease lightning on the course running those things because it's fast, but there's no topping up. You
it's
shoot,
all or nothing.
Yeah, you load up and you keep going.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, right now, because the action on my Remington is smoother, the trigger is better, it holds one more round.
Go with it.
Yeah, just going to keep the Remington as the 3-gun shotgun and keep the Mossberg just because it's cool. I mean, it is cool. Like I've got both, and I don't know if it's OCD, but it's like I've got a Remington pump and I got a Mossberg pump. I got a Remington semi and no Mossberg semi. This didn't work for me.
That's the OCD speaking.
It must be. So, yeah. But like if I was going to go take a shotgun class, I'd probably take the Mossberg.
Like a tactical shot, not like a 3-gun like gaming kind of class.
Right, like the Magpul shotgun class kind of thing. You talk about manipulations and malfunctions and reloading and all that good stuff. So,
yeah.
And it came with it's got the Accu choke system, and it came with a bunch of chokes and everything that it comes with from the factory. He sent along, as well as some extra goodies, except for the screws that go into the receiver when you remove the rail. I got to contact him and see if he has those kicking around somewhere. Because I took the rail off because there's no optic, and you're kind of looking through the groove in the rail. It was a little bit awkward, and so I took that off. But then I don't have the original like factory receiver plug screws, I guess you would call them.
They might be rubber. They might be screws. They might be rubber. I've seen a couple of tapped shotguns that use like rubber little things on the top.
Interesting. Cool. All right, that's it for me. What about you, Adriel? What have you been doing?
Oh, way more than you. No.
Yeah, but don't forget,
No.
I've been off for 4 weeks, so.
Yeah. No, I got listener Chad. We've been talking about comboing guns, like sticking guns together. So to do that, you need a something that clamps together 2 Picatinny rails.
You just mean like a master key, right? Just like stick one shotgun underneath one rifle, that kind of deal?
Well, I mean, yes, you can use it for that. And you can use it for more. Like he took it to logical extreme and did a 5-in-1 gun that was 50 plus pounds. I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna probably just do a 3-in-1 gun and maybe like long term run master key kind of a setup on a rifle. I don't know. I'm just using it for messing around. So I just got those in today, and I'm probably going to do a video showing like a 3-in-1 gun because I think it'd be funny.
I just hope somebody takes. Yeah, I think he should too, Kelly. And I also think somebody should take a screenshot of him for a quiz. Derp.
I'll make sure to do the funny face for it too. It comes naturally.
Yeah.
That's about all I did. Kelly, what about you?
I spent the weekend in London, Ontario. I went and saw Rick Woods. He put on an active killer defense course on Sunday, and so we went down on Saturday. Both Kevin and I went, and we had some fun. We went over to Rick's place on Saturday night with Brian Bolivar and had dinner there, and then on Sunday we went to the course. It was really, really cool. If you guys ever get a chance to take it because it was pretty awesome. Rick actually, he facilitated the course and talked about why people should have, an active killer defense course. Okay, let me go back a little bit. So there was about 13, 14 people there. There was a nice mix of teachers. So we had a group of teachers, which was awesome. They were really cool ladies. We had some people there that studied martial arts before, and then you had the gunnies in the back, and the gunnies were me, Brian, Kevin, and then there was also a guy named Matt. Now, Matt won the prize to go to the active killer defense at the frack cancer shoot. He won it, and he had a friend that was coming with him, but at the last minute, the friend wasn't able to come as well. So about 13 people, 14 people came, so it was quite cool. We spent the whole entire day doing things like, basically disarming an active killer, whether it's somebody that was there with a pistol. These were all mock things as well. Pistols, long guns, knives, and that. And there was also a guy named Chris McCaskill. He instructed us, and this man, holy crap, he's probably about a couple inches shorter than I am, but he is built like you wouldn't believe. And he led us through this course, and he was incredibly good. He was great at talking to the teachers. He was great at talking to the people who are experienced with guns and that as well. one of the things that I really liked about it was the fact that Rick brought it down to simple terms and simple levels for people who needed it, and Chris actually changed the style of teaching as well, because he's a he has 3 black belts and all that, but he changed it so that like people who didn't have any instruction on self-defense, we were able to get a lot out of the program and that as well. So we spent time. It was really fun. One of the reasons why it was really fun was I got to beat up on Brian, and I got to beat up on Kevin as well, but they paired off after a while. And then I generally paired up with this guy named James, who's one of the instructors as well as Matt, the guy from the charity shoot as well. So we got to beat on each other. I actually gave Matt a nice elbow to the head and that. So, but anyways, that's what we were there for. We were there to actually treat it like we were actively defending ourselves in that too, but nobody was getting hurt because we stopped ourselves before we got to that point too. It was one of the really cool things that I liked was the fact that I got to see people like the ladies, for example. They went from being quite meek and and apologizing for jumping on somebody to actually at the end of it ready to take somebody down and that. So, and the other thing that was really good is they learned about guns too. There was a bit of the course about what different types of guns were and all that, and one of the ladies, she actually said nobody should own guns. And
what?
Yeah, and so we talked about it a little bit, and then we showed her what a long gun was, or Rick did. He had slides, and that, and she goes, well, that looks like my dad's hunting rifle. And then he flipped over to a carbine rifle, and he said, and this is the same caliber, and this is what's in a police officer's patrol car. And she goes, oh, okay. And then she's going, well, nobody should have that. And then he's going, well, people, and Brian piped up, well, people hunt with things like that too. Why are they hunting with things like that? And we flipped it back again and saying, this is the same caliber. And then we talked about the differences between semi-automatic and bolt action, as well as fully automatic, and the differences as well. And we challenged the ideas of Hollywood. And these ladies learned a lot. They really, really did. And again, as I said, by the end of it, they were confident. They were running through. We had a gauntlet at the end where we had to actually run through. We had to disarm. Somebody who had a pistol. We went through a group of people, and it simulated basically people running out of a building, so going against the flow. And then we came to somebody else where we had to actually basically take them down with strikes. And then we came to the end of it where we were taking somebody down with a rifle. And basically, yeah, we ran through it, and these ladies were jumping on top of people. They were smashing people's heads, well, not really smashing people's heads into the ground. We simulated it, but they also actually, and then we did trauma at the end as well. So it was really, really quite good. One of the things that I learned was that it doesn't matter how big you are, you can take down anybody as long as you know what you're doing, from the point of view of taking them off balance and that. I was probably I'm probably the lightest person that was there. Like I'm around 140 pounds, and I was able to take down the biggest guy there, no problem whatsoever. And it's very nice if if we weren't resisting really when we were disarming people, but I do know that we're going to have a little bit more resistance in that, but at the same time, we know what we're supposed to do, and we can feel confident in doing it as well. So it was really, really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. So, yeah. And one of the other things that we did is during lunch, I went to Bullseye and looked around there. I got some Aguila and I paid a little bit too much for it. But we got some because they had it, whereas the other store I usually shop at didn't have it. And the other thing that I bought some new rings. I bought AR rings because I got a new, to me, red dot. Brian actually gave me a Vortex Strike Force, I think it is. Yeah, Strike Force.
Yeah.
So I have that for my AR. And I bought some rings to mount it, and yeah. So, and the other thing that I've done too is I'm on training right now. I was there all day today, so I've updated my first aid. So, yeah, not really much shooting, but lots of things about trauma and lots of things about talking to people about guns and disarming people. Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Awesome. Have we ever had Rick on since he started teaching? I know that we had Daniel and Daniel's partner on who kind of developed active killer defense, and we may have talked to Rick, maybe, and maybe. I can't, me, brain.
Since he started?
Since he actually started teaching, I don't think we've spoken to him.
I don't think since he started. I know that we talked about it prior to, and also about him coming on. He came on prior to coming for the charity shoot as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, and the other thing that really hit home with me this week was the fact that this week, 2 days ago, was the anniversary of the Montreal massacre, right? And if I was thinking when I was doing the course, if more people had the training and more people, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't like calling it the Montreal massacre. I think that's the media's name to try and really, really make sure that we, I don't want to, try and define massacre, but I think it makes it sound worse than it is. And that's not to take away from how horrific it was. But anyway, that just struck me funny. Massacre.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying if some people had been trained, but also
absolutely
people were able to carry. But that's.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the point of bringing up the anniversary, that if we had access to programs like this back then and people believed in them and actually went out and took them, things could have been very different.
Yeah, exactly. And but it was lots of fun. And as I said, I got to beat on some people, and I got.
Yeah, you're downplaying that. But after listening to Brian and Kevin talk about it on Modern Rifleman Radio, which they put out a show this week, you sound you're downplaying it. They described you as quite fierce and vicious, and just a little brutal.
So what I did was I walked away on the Sunday night. I had a swollen arm from, you know where your wrist is? You have that wrist bone there?
Yeah, I'm aware of the location of my wrist, yes.
Yes, well, the wrist bone there. Anyways, we were doing hammer strikes, and we had to do them. We did them repeatedly, and we were just wailing, right? Or I was just wailing. And we were doing, so my wrist was blue to the point where it's actually right now it's just kind of like green, and the swelling has reduced. And also we were doing we're also doing blows with our elbows, and I couldn't sleep a certain way for like 3 days afterwards because my elbows and my wrists were so sore. Yeah. Anyways, but that being said, don't miss me. And if you were listening to the show, they did talk about the fact that we also had so we had the gauntlet at the very end, but we also had almost like, I don't know what it was. We threw a couple of weapons in the middle of the mat, and then everybody walked around, and it was kind of like musical chairs almost. It felt like musical chairs, and they were playing sounds in the background and all that. But when you were told to, somebody would grab it, whoever was nearest to the weapon would grab it, and then another person would actually disarm that person. So we never knew if we were going to have a weapon or if we were going to be disarming, or which weapon we had. And that. So at one point, I was disarming my friend James. I was disarming him, and he had a pistol. Anyway, so I had just finished disarming him, and I'd taken the pistol and all that, and I just shoved him with the pistol. Anyways, and another guy came up behind me saying, James, I got you. James, I got you. James, I got you. Don't worry. He was taking me down. I was the good guy, and he was helping out James, the bad guy. And which is funny when you think about it.
Well, it's not funny, but it's important that it happened.
Exactly.
Did you light him up?
in a real life situation, right? That's what happens. Sometimes people don't know who the bad guy is and who the good guy is, right? And we talked about that a little bit too, about the fact that you know what, if you do make a decision and pick up that gun, you are putting yourself also at risk as well, because when the cops come in, you might be a victim of a good guy shot. The other thing that I did, and I thought it was quite funny, it's not funny, but so when I ran the gauntlet, I disarmed the guy at first with a pistol, and I ran through the crowd, and I was quite forceful. I was telling people to get out of my way, and I was telling them to move, and all that. And I came up to the guy that I was supposed to take out with some strikes. Anyways, I still had the pistol in my hand, and I was going to shoot him, but I really wanted to hurt him, so I put down the pistol.
So you knew the gun wasn't real, so instead of pointing and going pew pew, you pistol whipped him.
No, I threw the gun and I started wailing on him with my
You need to get up close and personal.
Don't throw the gun. Pistol whip him with the gun.
I know, exactly.
Oh well, but good on you though. I know the gun's not real, so I'm going to drop it and beat the snot out of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, this was therapeutic for you, wasn't it, Kelly?
It was good, yeah. But it was good that I never paired up with Kevin. I told him I can't pair up with you. I don't want to hurt you.
Mm-hmm. Going to turn into some kind of weird foreplay or something. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
That's a long story. Sorry, but it was fun.
That was a long story long. That wasn't a long story short.
It was like a Trevor story.
Pretty much. And if the listeners want to hear more about it, I definitely encourage them to listen to Kevin and Brian on this week's episode of Modern Rifleman Radio, because they go into quite a bit of detail. And they also talk about how Kelly went full Amazonian. So
all the women did, by the way.
You were channeling your inner super or Wonder Woman for sure.
Yep. Chris was beside me and he goes, "Holy crap." He goes, "You are fierce, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." And Brian, we had those heavy bags, you know, the ones that are for MMA, the ones all the way to the floor. Kick bags, yeah. Well, Kevin was climbing his and kneeing the guy, or quote unquote guy. And Brian, well, we weren't supposed to headbutt anybody, but it happened. So he was he was headbutting people. Anyways. Awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome for sure. All right, did you have an update about the calendar before we move on to upcoming events?
Well, the calendar is still available. Go online to Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights. If you go into the stores part, it is now on the main page of that. And you can see previews of the people that are in the calendar if you're on the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights site. So there's some lovely ladies who are awesome, and they're Canadian, and they are CCFR members that are in this calendar. And that too. There's some pretty incredible ladies, Trevor?
If by incredible you mean hot.
Okay. But they're also gunnies, and they're also...
You know what? I showed this calendar this morning to my colleague who is a female, who is middle-aged, and who is a liberal and not a gunny. But
here we go.
No, I love this. I love this woman. She makes going to work worthwhile. She's awesome. But I wanted to see her impression. So I'm like, hey, look at this. So I didn't set her up. I didn't prime her. I didn't coach her. I just said, what do you think of this calendar? And at first she thought, oh, this is going to be a bunch of hussies with guns.
Yep.
And then as she's going through,
and she's going, oh
yeah, she said, well, there's only two that are like, and they're not even really, she said. She couldn't even get out the word. She was like looking for the right word. They weren't provocative, you know. I mean, when you see like the Dylan calendar or the Dylan Blue Press catalog that comes out, always has somebody in a bikini or something really racy, right?
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, we want to, she said, well, why did you guys do this? I said, well, you know, it's a fundraiser and we want to highlight women in firearms in a positive manner and not show a bunch of hussies. And she's like, well, yeah, I guess it does that. So
yeah, they're beautiful women. They're class. It's a classy calendar, is it not?
Yeah, very classy. The one of my favorites is the lady sitting down and she's like indexing a mag and ready to load a pistol.
Well, yeah.
That is intense, man. She's got a crazy look in her eye. I love it.
That's Danielle.
Danielle. Okay, well,
Yeah, she's a
Danielle,
lovely lady.
yeah, very. I mean, that's one of my favorite ones. The subject matter, it all comes together very, very nicely. I'm being professional. I didn't say she was a hottie or anything like that.
Yeah, you just did. They're all hottie. This is what you said.
Well, you were looking for a joke, so I gave you a joke, and then I
Okay.
cleaned it up. Anyway, buy a calendar. All right. Are we ready to go on?
Sure, I think they both fell asleep. What do you think?
Yeah, I dozed off a while ago.
All right. Well, Matthew, why don't you wake up and bring us the first upcoming event, please?
What is the first upcoming event?
Seventh
Seven.
annual.
The 7th annual charity shoot?
It's the one at the top of the list.
Is that going on still? We're still doing that?
We're still doing that, yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess
7
we're
years.
doing that. 7 years, apparently, 7th annual charity shoot. It's going to be Saturday, July 8th. That's this coming summer at the Guelph Rod and Gun Club in Guelph, Ontario. The Canadian Patriot Podcast is this year's host, and the charity of choice is Many to One. So, yeah, you should come out. It's going to be awesome.
Cool. Adriel, you got the next one, please.
Next one is the Got Your Six charity shoot. It's the second annual precision rifle competition. That'll be July 22nd to 23rd in Edson, Alberta. Funds raised will go to the War Horse Awareness Foundation. For more information, you can go to www.gotyoursixshoot.com.
Cool. All right. And it's finally, it's here. Time to talk about SummerSlam. This year's SummerSlam is SummerSlam 11. It'll be held at the Rescuers Gun Club in Balmoral. It is a level 3 IPSC match, which is a sanctioned match with the world body. That's what level 3 means. 16 stages, approximately 300 rounds. There will be 14 squads, 10 shooters per squad for, that's still 140 even on this show. The schedule will be the regular registration night is going to take place on August 4th. The match proper will be the 5th and 6th of August. Smoke on the Water will be doing the range food again, and they're going to step up their game. They're actually going to go around with a golf cart this year, selling some pre-made sandwiches, but Gatorade. Somebody, they were just dropping off extra food at the end of day 2 that hadn't sold, and they were leaving, and somebody was like, I would skin a hobo and eat his soul for Gatorade right now. So with that in mind, they're coming back with a cooler full of Gatorades next year. So they're actually going to patrol the range and sell cold sports drinks. So that's kind of cool. And we might have them do the banquet if I get my way. Not that the other guy is not good in any way, but Smoke on the Water's better. And we've been serving the same pork to people for years. Might be time to change it up. The banquet will be Saturday night, August 5th. And cost this year is $160, $150 if you pay through EMT. The registration opens on the 9th of January and will close approximately 2 weeks prior to the beginning of the match. So stay tuned for that because, as always, it will sell out. I've already had people contact me with squatting requests. Standard answer, I do what I can, but I make no promises. I had one guy try and send me money. I said, registration doesn't open until January 9th. If you send me money now, I'm going to assume it's for beer. And so people are already really chomping at the bit to get registered. Last year was one of the best that we've ever done, maybe the best. And, and we had new people out who had never experienced SummerSlam before. So I think we should have no problem, hopefully, filling up this year's match again. So, news. Anybody, do we have a news story from Jason Philp or not? Not doing it. If we're not doing it, why isn't it in the show notes? I'm confused by this.
It's just make you read it on the show and get everybody confused. So,
Well,
We didn't do it last week, that's why.
are we doing it this week?
I don't think you wanted to, so I don't think so.
All right. Maybe it was a time thing because we had a 2-hour show last week.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Probably.
All right.
Well, why don't you read it then? Why
right.
are we talking about this? You know,
Let's
and
cover
I'm not editing this. You know that, right?
Absolutely know that.
Good.
People in the meantime are screaming, just shut up and read it or move on.
Well, what do you want? Do you want us to read it or move on?
I'm opening it so I can read it. You just said read
I
it.
was asking the listeners.
Oh, the listeners can't hear you. Well, they
Oh.
can hear you, but you can't hear them.
Not
Oh,
loud enough.
speak up
Right.
louder, listeners.
Yell louder at your car stereo while in traffic. You don't look quite crazy enough. Here we go. And this is from the CBC News, Calgary. I love it when we read CBC on this show. Teenage boy charged with accidentally shooting his sister. Woman was rushed to hospital in life-threatening condition, but later upgraded to serious. A teenage brother of a woman shot at a southeast residence on Saturday has been charged with numerous firearms offenses. Police say a 17-year-old boy was charged. Police say the 17-year-old boy was under the boy. Really? 17? Was under the influence of drugs and alcohol when he picked up a handgun that was unknowingly loaded and fired, hitting his sister. So much fail. Emergency officials say that the woman was 25 years old, but police clarified on Monday she was 24. That's really important. The teen, who can't be named because our Youth Criminal Justice Act sucks, is charged with careless use of a firearm, pointing a firearm, unauthorized possession of a firearm, and knowing possession of a weapon with no registration certificate. Wow.
Oh, so he had an illegal gun, basically. So
No, but
criminal.
it's cool, though. They threw everything at him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's fine. I'm okay with throwing everything at criminals and people who are dumb and shoot their sisters. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you got an unregistered gun, chances are he doesn't have a license. He wasn't stored properly. He's a bad guy, and bad guys don't get proper training, and so they accidentally shoot people. So the moral of the story is, I don't know. I don't know what the moral is.
Don't shoot your sister.
Don't own illegal guns.
If you're a bad guy, get training.
There you go. That's a good one. Maybe if you got training, then you wouldn't be a bad guy anymore because you could legally own the gun.
I heard he was in the process of turning his life around.
Yeah,
when
they
this
all
happened.
are.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a dirtbag, and I hope they throw the book at him
Sure.
because he was dumb playing with a gun. Well, yeah, I mean, the
He's
list
playing with
goes
a
on.
gun, yeah. Unknowingly loaded. Well, treat all guns as loaded, but he didn't know that because he didn't have any training. So it's too bad that the innocent sister, well, we assume she's innocent. We assume for the purposes of the story that she's innocent, got hurt
Correct.
in the process.
Yeah.
But, yeah, still, it's
Are
terrible.
we changing their names to protect the innocent? Sorry.
No, they're not innocent. If CBC can publish it, we can certainly publish it.
You're supposed to just go.
All right.
Well, sometimes your jokes are easier to go with than others. So Ralph Goodale made this an announcement on December 6th. Who wants to read Ralph Goodale's announcement?
I think Adriel wants to.
All right.
I don't even know what he did.
I think Ralph. I think you know what? I think Adriel will take the next one, and Kelly will take this one because I think
There we go.
Kelly
Okay,
put
so
this in.
All
I
right.
put it in. So he put out a letter to the public safety portfolio employees, basically on December 6th, and he said that what he is going to be doing is, within my own mandate, Public Safety Canada is developing the detailed plan needed to deliver our commitments to increase gun safety and reduce gun violence. We will soon be assisted by a reconstituted Firearms Advisory Committee, including expertise from law enforcement, public health, women's groups, along with agriculture, hunting, and recreation. So just wanted to let you know that they are reconstituting the Firearms Advisory Committee. So hopefully they get some people on there that know what they're talking about.
Well, but it's just good that we even have it. I mean, I know sometimes these things aren't stacked with all the best people. They have to have the illusion of equality and balance, so they get victims' rights advocates on there. I'm not sure how they advise about firearm policy when their expertise is victims' rights, but that people like that do end up on there. I'm glad we have them. You know, we have one here in New Brunswick, and not every province does. And the Firearms Advisory Committee here in the province of New Brunswick saved us from getting shrouding. We had a militant CFO who was, militant, and he was out to get shrouding. And it was because of the work done by the Firearms Advisory Committee that we didn't have to shroud our steel. Which, I mean, we're fortunate. In Nova Scotia, they don't have one of these advisory committees that I'm aware of. The CFO is an IPSC shooter. He's a really good guy. Every dealing I've had with him was good, positive, professional. I've shot with him. I've been RO'd by him. I've RO'd him. And they have shrouding. So here's a guy who shoots the sport, could take away the shrouding, but they still have shrouding. We don't have anything. Quebec's not allowed to have steel at all. Ontario's shrouding has to be like attached to the berm. So we got really lucky, and it's just because of this firearms advisory committee that we were able to pull that off.
Mm-hmm. It'd be nice to have balance, though, right?
Oh, of course. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it should be made up of
People who-
firearms experts,
Yep.
industry experts, you know. Anyway.
Yep.
Adriel, what is this IWI X95 thing?
Yeah, it's like Tavor, but the next generation, I guess. So this is IWI's newer rifle, just like the Tavor, except it's got a better trigger from the factory, which is really good because I don't know if you guys have had a chance to shoot a factory Tavor, but the trigger is garbage.
Better than the T97.
Are you sure?
Yes,
no.
I'm sure. Yes, I'm
No.
positive. Yes.
No.
I own the T97 and I've shot Tavors with and without Geisleys.
I disagree, but that's okay.
You're allowed to be wrong, dude. It's fine.
The X95 apparently has a much better trigger from the factory. It weighs a little bit less. It's got the mag release next to the trigger, so it doesn't have it kind of towards the back there. A little bit slimmed down. And the ones that we're getting up here in Canada are apparently going to have an integral quad rail. So they've got a version that they make in Israel. They got a version that they make in the U.S. The U.S. one, I think it's got a slightly longer butt on it compared to the one from Israel. But I think we're getting the U.S. ones in. They're likely going to bring them in with 18.5-inch barrels, so they'll be non-restricted. And they're right around the $2,500 mark.
Well, $2,640 right now at Wild West. But is this? Yeah, that's Wild West in Calgary.
No,
They've-
Edmonton.
Edmonton? Not bad.
Yeah.
780. Yeah, they're at 2640 plus tax. But the model shown is 16.5. The actual rifle is 18.6. So that's awesome. I'm seeing a little bit of a better handguard, and the rail looks lower, which would address Matthew's concern of that height over bore that's usually worse on a bullpup, and then even worse by adding rails on top of the bullpups. I tell you what I wish they would address, though, is the rear end of this rifle looks like they just ran out of steam one Friday afternoon while drawing and designing it and went, okay, let's just make it square. Let's go home. We made it to the mag. We're good. All right. Now the rest of it's a chunk of plastic. I mean, are you guys with me? Like the only problem with the Tavor is how it looks past the mag to the buttstock.
Yeah, and I think if you were to look at not the US version, but they've got a different version out there, and I'm pretty sure it looks better on the back. It's still square. It's still like blocky, but
Yeah, better than before still doesn't mean good.
no, it's still blocky.
Yeah.
But what else are you going to do? It's going up against your shoulder anyways, right?
Yeah, I know, but some of us like how our firearms look as well as how they perform.
Yeah, I like my guns to look good.
I mean, look, the T97 has a much better aesthetics and lines past the ejection port and past the stock, or past the magazine. They cut a whole chunk out there to give some clear definition of where the stock begins and the receiver ends.
It's got a little, it's got the cutout.
Yeah, and it's so they also have they've got a T97 with the flat top upper out the door for $1,724. That's a bit pricey because you used to get your T97 for $1,000 and your flat top upper for $3,000.
And now you can get the T97s for right around $850, somewhere around there.
And then you're still getting the flat top upper for $3,000. So why am I going to pay Wild West $1,725?
I don't know.
Because this is the new one.
No, this isn't the new one.
Oh, because this is, I don't know.
Desert Tan.
Ah, there you go. It's all
And
those
that's
good
Some
colors.
coatings on it or something.
Yeah, right. Anyway,
Krylon.
Exactly. Krylon the heck out of it. So, all right, so there's a new Tavor, better trigger, still butt ugly.
Still a bullpup. It's hard to...
So it's new but ugly, or it's but ugly?
You bet. It's ugly.
Fantastic. Who's got the GSG 15s? Is that you too, Adriel?
Yeah, I threw that in there. That's it's just like, well, Matthew, you played around with one of those ISSC 22s, right?
Yep. It was Fred.
This
the
is-
Glock wannabe?
No, the Scar lookalike.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
So-
Fred lent me his. That was another one of my lent rifle YouTube channels or YouTube videos.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a similar idea. I think it's running off the same. Like I haven't read too much into it. I know that the Anschutz version ran a different barrel and a different trigger. I'm not sure what differences they've got on the GSG, but it looks like it's the same platform. It's got a different buttstock on it, some different iron sights.
Very, very cosmetic-y
Maybe.
things. I mean, your magazine release is in the same spot. Your safety is in the same spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's different on it, but hey, those are in Canada now.
Cool. New guns are always fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
New 22 that looks like an assault rifle.
Western Metal, $500, $499.99.
I think those are really just geared towards the Call of Duty players, aren't they?
They are a step above airsoft, Matthew.
Look, I have nothing against it. As I want to make that clear, but personally, I don't see the point of modeling a 22 after an assault rifle or assault rifle look-alike thing. Just personally.
What if you wanted to get some reps in on transitions and usage, and you wanted to shoot the cheapest ammo possible? I guess you could run it. Yeah, you could run a 22 bolt.
But you can buy a lot of ammo for the cost of a new 22 rifle.
Yeah,
and you might
and
be better
223
off
is
shooting
pretty
223. It's not very expensive, and you're better off training with the proper recoil.
Well,
personally,
could we see me owning this before owning a 795?
Yeah.
Yeah, it all depends on your style of firearm and what
That's
appeals
true.
to you. Like,
That's true.
I bought the Remington 597 VTR because everything has to have black rails on it and everything has to have cheese grater and pistol grips. And so, I mean, I wouldn't buy one, Matthew, but I'm the kind of guy that would buy one.
right.
That makes sense?
If you were gonna buy one, this is the one you would buy. But you're not gonna buy one because you wouldn't buy one. But if you would, and you were, and you did, then it would.
What I would actually do is get the Ruger 1022 version of this, or put the Ruger 1022 in the Troy chassis, because it's not plasticky, it's not cheap, it's not imitation. Like, I tried this once. I bought your 1022 and I took it out of your stock and I dropped it in the Archangel stock, and I was like, I just made a cheap looking gun like this. It was all like there was a molded magazine release, like where it would be if it was real, and I'm like, that is so cheesy. It even came with a cheap plastic bayonet thing. I was so over it. Sold the whole thing, got rid of it. And these kind of remind me of that. There's even the GSG. What's the one that looks like the German assault rifle from World War II?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. The store, I don't know.
Looks like the 44 STG 44.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, it's almost like the Blaze 47. You take the Mossberg Blaze 22 and you wrap it in a plastic shell. I'd much rather take a proven platform like the 1022 and have steel and aluminum on it. Like my Remington 597. 597 is hit and miss. I got a good one. All the parts on mine are real parts. Like, there's a real AR handguard on there. There's a real AR buttstock, a real buffer tube, a real.
If you're doing it, if you're doing it for the reps and for the practice and stuff, though, why wouldn't you just go ahead and get a dedicated 22 AR?
Like
Smith and Wesson makes one, right? And
M&P 15.
All plastic.
yeah.
It's all
M&P
plastic
the M&P 15 is all plastic?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Junk.
plastic. Hey!
It's actually banned from Appleseed for now.
Right. What's the one I'm
now.
thinking of that is an actual, like, it works as, like, it's actually restricted because it'll take an AR 5.56
one.
upper? Oh,
Well,
that's the one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't realize they
it's
were so.
the same platform. It has the same. So it has the safety the same. It has the
Oh,
release
I didn't realize
the
they
same.
were so
Yeah.
chintzy.
I didn't have, and neither did I until I was at Steve Koski's house during Mag 40. He brought that thing out, and I was like, "What? The M&P 22 is all plastic?"
Yep.
And Bolivar had one. I think he got rid of it.
No, he still has it.
He still has his.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I'd
Kevin has
rather.
one. I use it.
I'd
nice.
rather get an AR and put a dedicated 22 upper on it, like
Yeah.
Filthy did.
Yep, I
Or
think that's the
build
way to
one.
go.
Yeah. So.
But then you are restricted to using it at the range, so there's that.
There is that, but if you get a 1022 and you throw it in
Then
the
you're
drawer,
okay, yeah.
So, Cool. All right. Shall we go on to our main topic?
Sure.
Sure.
All right. So our main.
We're only, an hour into the show. We might as well get to the main topic. Do we want to do a main topic? We're an hour into the show already.
Yeah, and we still have a lot of listener feedback. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Oh, yeah. I missed them all.
I think it'll be short. I think we can rip it off in like 15 minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is kind of a throwback Thursday kind of a affair. Adriel's idea. He thought.
So if you don't like it, you can send hate mail to adrielmishow@gmail.com.
Exactly.
I hope that's not really your email address, is it?
It is.
Oh, sweet.
About this. Not supposed to give out our real addresses.
I'm just kidding. It's not. That one actually redirects to me, which is mattmcclatchy@gmail.com.
Right.
I really don't care if I get feedback from people, so fire away.
That's all the time we have for our main topic. Thanks for... So Adriel's idea was that we would do our origin stories. How we got to where we are in the world of Canadian gun culture. So who would like to go first? I think ladies should go first myself. But
so
I know
Adriel,
Matthew
you're up.
Here.
Ah!
All right, Adriel. Yeah, Adriel's story. Kelly, Adriel, was your idea.
Yeah.
How did you become the gun gear guy or the hunting gear guy?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I've been using guns all my life. Like I remember like when I was 4 and having a BB gun that my parents gave me. So like I've been doing it for a while. I remember having a pellet gun when I was 6. And some of my fondest memories from being a kid were being out in the field shooting gophers, and quite young as well. And that's kind of where I started was shooting gophers on my grandparents' farm, kind of a thing. I mean, you guys had a chance to come out shoot gophers in Alberta here. It's a lot of fun, right?
It is a lot of fun.
One of the best times of my life.
Yep.
Until I got tired, hungry, and dehydrated. I'm over this. Let's go.
Yes, there's more gophers, but they'll have to wait till next year. So I mean that's kind of how I started off. I went hunting deer when I was 11, and started doing that. I didn't really like my dad just had like a 308, a 12 gauge, and a 22, and that's it. And a 30-30 as well. But like not a big gun guy at all. Just use them for hunting and for around the farm kind of stuff. And then let's see. I guess a little bit after college, I had a little bit of spending money, so I bought a 303, an SKS, a 45, and then I sold all of them and moved to China. So I had no guns. Came back to Canada, got a much better job, earned a lot more money, and therefore had some more spending money to spend on guns. I had just started a kind of a blog, just a personal one, like this adrielmishow.com thing. Don't go there; it's lame. But
your people are going there now.
So just to set the table here, I use it for SEO testing. So there's a whole bunch of really weird articles on there that are just tests. That's not how I really think. They're just fun tests for me. Anyways, from there, I thought, oh man, this is kind of good. I'm getting some traffic on some of this stuff. I should do a topic that I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about hunting, so I'll do it on hunting and hunting gear. So I started doing a couple of articles. This was like I had just like a crappy point and shoot camera. I wasn't a really good writer. English was like my worst subject in high school, but just through sheer practice, I don't know. I don't think my articles are anything fancy, but I'm good at cracking them out now. And just about 3 years ago, just got into doing YouTube, so added that a little bit on with some like with guns and that kind of thing. YouTube is a better platform. It's you can actually see it, you can see how it's operated, you can see how it shoots, all that kind of stuff. You can't get that out of an article and images, right? So added that on, and and then joined up with you guys last year. So it's just been kind of a slow burn on adding more and more on. I've been doing 3-gun for I guess this is going into my 3rd year. I've done a little bit of service conditions rifle, and I'm looking at doing some IPSC next year. So not really a lot of competitive shooting, just a little bit on the 3-gun, and I'm looking to do a lot more in pistol next year. So that's kind of where I got to where I am now. Who's up next?
Well,
Yeah.
now it's ladies first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second. Kind.
Wait, second.
Yeah. So unlike Adriel, I did not grow up shooting gophers in the face. No. I've always been around guns because my dad was in the military, and my brother, he was a competitive shooter as well. So he always had guns around, and my father was a collector, and as I said, we were in the military and we were overseas as well. So on a regular basis I would see really big guns and some automatic firearms and different things like that. So I was never afraid of guns, but I was around them all the time, but I never actually was interested. I was interested in doing sports and different things like that. My ex-husband took me out to the range when we were dating, and I enjoyed it and that, but never really got into it then either. I shot his shotgun, pistol, rifle, and that as well, and I was actually a pretty good shot. So as I said, I enjoyed it, but I didn't really get into it. And only until recently, so my boyfriend, Kevin, who you all know, he asked me if I wanted to go out to the range with him because he was getting back into guns and also in shooting and that. So he asked me if I wanted to go to the range, and I said sure. I went out with him, and I said, this really sucks because of the fact that it was wintertime and really cold, and we were like 25 meters from the target, and we're using pistols, and I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So I wasn't really engaged in it, and it was cold and that. So, but he persisted, and he said, you know what, there's going to be an Appleseed down in Michigan in a couple of months in March. Do you want to go? And I said sure. I've never been to Michigan, so sure, why not? So I went down, and again, it's winter. We were supposed to practice. I was supposed to practice. Wasn't interested at all in going to practicing. So we went down to Michigan and met a bunch of people that were really cool. Enjoyed them, and met another female shooter, Stacy. And I totally sucked at shooting. I wasn't any good at it. But what I did notice was from the beginning of the weekend to the end of the weekend, my shooting improved tremendously. And I made a promise to myself that I was going to give it a try, but I also was going to become a rifleman because that's what I wanted. And when I have a goal and set my mind to it, I generally achieve it. So I decided to, when I was coming back in the car, ask Kevin if we could, go to the range the next day. And he goes, you do know that we're going to get back at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I said, okay, but we won't go. But we went the next weekend, and the next weekend, and the next weekend, and the next weekend. I started really enjoying shooting. I was getting rifleman scores, and then I decided that, maple seed, we tried out a maple seed. I missed shooting rifleman by just a little bit. The other thing that we decided to do was, because of all the cool people I met in Michigan, a couple months later was the charity shoot in Restigouche, and I went and I met Trevor and Matthew and everybody, and I thought they were really cool too. And that's where I did things like, that's the first time I did IPSC shooting.
Well, to be fair, you didn't meet us for very long, right? That's why you thought we were cool. Little did you realize
Yeah, here it is now.
just how cool we really are. I mean, the other way. It was the other way.
Well, what happened? I thought that you guys were really cool, and I got to know you a little bit more, and then I still thought you were really cool. And at that point too, right before then, a couple of other guys had asked if I would like to start podcasting. I knew nothing about shooting whatsoever, obviously. I said, sure, hey, why not? And that's why I went down to the podcaster shoot as well. And then, so I am a work in progress. I'm learning every day, obviously. But I also am, I'm shooting quite frequently now, and I'm shooting different types of things. As you guys know, I got my rifleman patch, which was my goal, and I have some other goals now too. One of my other goals for this year was to try and get more ladies into shooting. So, doing the CCFR thing and trying to do the women's programming, get that up and running, and kind of like, I think Kevin regrets the fact that he asked if I wanted to go to Michigan. He does regret the fact that he asked if I wanted to go to Michigan, because that's what it's all about now. It's pretty much like consumes when I'm not working. And when I am working, I'm around firearms then too. So, anyways,
It's a fun hobby.
That's
Cool.
me.
All right. Awesome. So my origins go kind of like Adriel's. I've been around guns my entire life. There are guns on both sides of my family, my father's side, my mother's side. So I grew up hunting with my father and seeing firearms at my uncle's places, my grandfather's places, and I shot my first squirrel when I was 5 years old. We actually had it taxidermied and mounted, and it sat in the living room on a bookshelf
Really?
right up until I left for university.
Oh,
I wish
that's
I still
hilarious.
knew where it was. I would put it up in the man cave. So,
Aw.
yeah. My father collected 22 rifles, Matthew. I don't know if I ever told you that, but the majority of the firearms in his collection were 22s.
It makes sense that you
And-
wouldn't tell me, though. I mean, it's not like I really enjoy 22 rifles or anything.
Well, exactly, right? So there's only really like two that stick out in my memory, maybe three. No, actually, yeah, three. There was a tube-fed bolt action that I really enjoyed. There was a Remington, and when you and I started hanging out, I still had this Remington. It was the same rifle was offered by a couple of different manufacturers. I don't know who actually built it, but Remington would put their name on it. CIL would put their name on it. I used to think this thing was the cat's meow. It had a detachable box magazine. And the trigger was atrocious. I didn't realize that until later on when I started to shoot other guns. But I had that gun restored. The magazine latch was broken, and the local gunsmith here who restored it was able to get a replacement part. So, and an additional magazine. So I had a 5-round mag. Sorry, I believe they were called clips back then. And
Yes,
a
they were.
10-pound mag. Yep.
Yeah.
And I also had that Squires Bingham semi-automatic 22. This thing was like Squires Bingham Tasco something, and it was sold at Kmart for $60 back in the day. It had a kind of cool Monte Carlo stock on it. It actually had a muzzle brake on it, very similar to like what would be on a Thompson machine gun. That was it. That's what made it cool. It was semi-auto, and it had a muzzle brake. So I had those two guns. Those guns were around as long as I can remember, along with my 30-30. And I had those 222s up until shortly after I got serious about guns. I ended up selling them because they really weren't that good. But I did keep, of course, the 30-30. So I continued hunting through high school right up until back to the 22s. My father actually, along with all the other 22s he had a 22 handgun. It was a Rec. It was German made.
It was a wreck, all right.
It was a Rec, yeah.
Yeah.
His in particular. It was a German made single action little 6-shot revolver that my mother actually bought him in the like late 70s. And it was like $42 or something like that. I ended up buying one myself later on. From one of the guys in the gun club, only it was the nickel version of it, and kept it for a while because I thought it was kind of nostalgic, but I let that go. Anyway, I always hunted, even in university. When I met people in university I met one guy from the Woodstock area who was big into deer hunting, and he invited me to go along with him. So we would go to a camp outside of Woodstock to do deer hunting. So I was actually using a SMLE Lee Enfield, which I would store on campus with campus security in their vault. So I used to bring a rifle onto campus when I was at the University of New Brunswick, and I was allowed to bring it on campus, but I could only store it with them. They wouldn't let me take it in the dormitory. Now I don't even know if you could do that. If you want to store a rifle on campus, probably not.
No, there's no way. I didn't see it.
So then I was in university in 1995 when everything changed, and that's when I got my firearms license. And my father at that time put a couple of the firearms in my name. One or two of those 222s ended up in my name, a single shot Bacale 20 gauge shotgun, and my 30-30. So I've had those going all the way back to the 90s, and still have the 30-30. The 20 gauge is still at my father's house actually, but yeah, I sold off the 22s. Fast forward to 2010. 36 years old, bought my first brand new rifle, my Thompson Center Venture Predator, which I still have. So Chris Anderson, I know you're listening, and you're always making fun of me constantly selling guns. As you see, there are some guns that I have not sold. I don't know what the motivation was. If I saw this, I think I saw it in a Cabela's catalog, and I liked it because it had synthetic stock, and the entire rifle was camouflage. It was, I forget which brand, Realtree or whatever, but the entire firearm, including the receiver and the barrel, were camo dipped, and I think that's what sold me on it. I had to have it, and it was nowhere to be found in Canada. I checked everywhere, including the distributor, and the distributor said, no, there are none of these rifles in Canada, and I found one in New Brunswick at the gun dealer, and I was quite concerned because people were taking regular Thompson Center Ventures and camo dipping the stock and calling them Predators, but the Predator had a shorter fluted barrel. Anyway, it was a legit one. I drove there in a snowstorm to pick up this rifle. I was in four-wheel drive doing 45 kilometers an hour on a four-lane highway. That's how bad it was. I passed 3 cars in the ditch on the way to get this rifle, but I still get excited about getting new guns. Like, I might call in sick if I think that the postman is going to bring me a new gun. I'll stay home so I don't miss the delivery. That's not true if my boss is listening yet. So anyway, I still get excited, but that was my first brand new gun, and I was driving in the snowstorm. Nothing was going to stop me from getting that gun. It was quite an experience. I get off the highway and I see the sign to Macadam, 50 kilometers. Like, seriously, I got to go 50 more kilometers than this? I didn't think I was going to make it. So then after having my, I met Officer Frank, and he's like, you need to check out this IPSC thing. And he brought me to the end of SummerSlam 3, where I experienced my first action shooting. I shot a 1911 that day. Chris Kingston's wife still has, actually he's going to shoot it in Classic this year, a SDI Trojan, single stack, 9mm. And at this point, I had only shot Frank's service pistol a couple of times, and of course you know what the trigger is like on their guns. And then she gave me this little 1911 with a 5-pound trigger, and I couldn't get over how different it was and how light it was. So, like, the first IPSC gun I ever shot was a 1911. This is just occurring to me right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm having a moment here. God. Anyway, so 7 years later, I got I tried that out, and I was going to get into the handgun thing, and Frank got me ready to get my firearms license, and I went and challenged the restricted course. So here I had a possession-only PAL and a possession and acquisition RPAL. Kind of an odd combination. So I thought, well, this is unusual. I can buy an AR-15 and a Glock, but I can't buy a single-shot shotgun. So then I went and challenged the non-restricted test and got my non-restricted license as well, and then bought the rifle. I had the RPAL for 7 years before I finally bought a handgun, and one of the first handguns I bought was a 8-inch bright nickel Colt Python. I got it for $400, and I sold it for over $1,100. That's a story for another day. When I joined the gun club, they immediately started pushing me towards IPSC. It's like anybody who joins this club is an IPSC shooter. That's what it was back then. It was really, Salish and Chris were big pushers of IPSC. And then this is where Matthew comes into my life, and this is where things really take off. We take our black badge together in 2011, and we hit it off immediately. I recognize him from his YouTube channel. Next thing you know, I've got a YouTube channel, and Matthew and I are going to the range, and we're doing all the dumb stuff that you see on YouTube now that we have since thankfully outgrown and matured but we may have gotten ourselves in trouble at 2 different ranges at one time. But anyway, growing pains. So, I mean, I started a YouTube channel because of Matthew. It didn't last too long because then Matthew got me into podcasting. And here we are. Podcasting is the charity shoot itself has been going on. This is the 7th year coming up. And I've been podcasting since sometime in 2011 or 2012. I was full-time on the show when I went to Mag 40. So it was like episode 80 something when I got involved of Canadian Reload Radio. So I just wasn't going to do both, and so I let the YouTube channel go and concentrated on podcasting. 2012, one of the highlights of my shooting, my time in shooting, was going to Mag 40 in Utah, meeting the gun dudes. I met other amazing people, Tony Brown, the unnamed trucker. I thought Shaw was going to be there, but unfortunately he wasn't. And a lot of those people I still talk with today, so just awesome. And then the evolution continued. Matthew and I went from getting in trouble on ranges to becoming range officers, to becoming IPSC range officers, to becoming black badge instructors, to becoming instructors. You know, Matthew and I are now developing our own shooting training program where we go out and we help you shoot your gun more gooder at the Furlachi Training Academy.
More gooder. That's our motto.
That's right, man.
You can do it. More gooder.
More gooder.
We can help.
We should get T-shirts made.
Yeah, we should. We could get. Oh, there's some sayings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, my association with the NFA, and then that all blew apart. And I was very fortunate to get picked up by the CCFR, and that's been going strong. I've been working with them throughout the whole first year, and went to the AGM, and we'll be at the next AGM. Hopefully, the school schedule is going to be a little tight, but so that's been my evolution to date. I don't see it stopping anytime soon, and that's a good thing. I made lifelong friends like you guys, Matthew, people in my club. It's I'm looking forward to the obsession continuing.
You've got a gun from 2010?
Yep.
Whoa.
That's weird, eh?
Like, I've got guns that are a lot older than that, but I mean, I have a gun that I purchased in 2010 and still have it. I actually have a list, Adriel, that I can send you if you're that curious, of every gun I have bought and sold, from who to who they went, in most cases what I paid, what I sold it for, since 2010.
Yeah, I think my oldest one is 2013. That'll probably be my AR.
Yep. I have a very short list of guns that I will never sell, and that rifle is on there simply because it is the first brand new firearm that I ever purchased, so that means something to me. And a little ashamed that I was on the planet for 36 years before I walked into a store and bought a brand new gun. So, yep. So, McClatchy, you've been at it a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents told me I wasn't allowed, and so I did. That's how I got started, basically.
Nice.
I don't even know where to begin. I guess.
Try the beginning.
I guess it would have been.
Not sperm and egg. Not that beginning. You can.
20-ish years ago, I guess. Maybe just over 20 years ago when we moved to New Brunswick. The family moved to New Brunswick, and friends of ours hunted regularly and took me hunting for the first time. Actually not even true. I went hunting in Ontario before then, but not serious, I guess. Anyway, by the time 20 years ago rolled around, I was old enough to get my own hunting license, and so I did, and it kind of started from there, and started off with single shot 22s and worked my way up. It's just sort of your standard. It sounds a lot like Trevor's story, actually, except I didn't grow up with guns around the house all the time. Like I said, my parents were anti-gun and said no, I wasn't allowed, and so the rebellion that I am, the rebeller. Sure, yep. That's a word. So yeah, and it just kind of went from there, and finally they swung around and saw the light and realized that, oh, well, okay, maybe guns aren't the problem, maybe it's the bad guys, and now they're both very pro-gun. Dad owns firearms of his own; he has his firearms license, and my brother owns firearms and has his license. So I sort of converted the family, and yeah, and like I said, same as Trevor, just sort of when I met him, I had just started putting gun videos up on YouTube, I did not know what I was doing. I was just kind of going to the range shooting guns, and I thought it was awesome and needed to share it with the world. So I went on camera and went on YouTube. So my earlier videos aren't really much to watch, but I leave them up for nostalgic reasons. And just kind of went from there. I found that people were watching my videos and enjoying them, and then Steve Lee came along with his I Like Guns song, and that's what really kicked off my YouTube channel. I asked him for permission to use his song in one of my videos, and apparently I was the only person to have ever asked for permission, and so he gave me permission to use any of his content in any of my videos.
Carte blanche.
Pretty much, which is why we actually have the audio for the intro and outro of this show, because and then from there, when his video was blowing up, mine blew up too, because of his. I was sort of along for the ride, and I picked up a bunch of subscribers, and it went from there. So that's how my YouTube channel kind of came into being. And since then, podcasting, hanging out with these guys, and just kind of having a fun time.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Very good. So there you go, listeners. That's how we have evolved, if you will.
Some of us more than others.
Well, I mean, and we all started off at zero, right? So
Yep.
Some of us evolve a little quicker than others. Trevor and I took a little while, but we came around eventually.
I still have gills behind my ears there, but I'm catching up. And some people have guns their whole life, and they don't get inundated into the gun culture that like we have. Like, we are not just firearms owners, we are advocates, we're instructors, we are competitors, we are gun club executives, right? Like, and it's certainly the turning point for me, really, honest to God, was joining the Rescuers Gun Club and meeting Matthew. Meeting Matthew is what's kind of pulled me into this world. I could be just another guy at the Rescuers Gun Club who shoots a pistol on Saturday, but meeting Matthew, that was the exposure to. I didn't know what a podcast was before I met Matthew. I knew there were YouTube gun channels, obviously, because I recognized them from that. And then the podcasting was then the introduction to the political thing, and then the legal thing. And next thing you know, I'm carrying a gun in Utah, and it just, who knows what's to come? I mean,
shaving your legs.
Haha, and we're full circle.
That's the next part.
Nice. That is very meta of you.
Yep. Well done. So. All right. Well, should we start off with listener feedback?
Yeah, I think we should probably.
All right. So, because Matthew does the best Australian accent, obviously,
I'm not doing an Australian accent.
You have to.
I'll try, but I promise nothing. And Rob B from Australia, I apologize. No, I can't even do it. I got to channel my Steve Lee.
Get it. Work it. Just start thinking some Steve Lee songs in your head a little bit. It'll come on now.
Good eye, slam firers.
You got this. Own it.
I don't. Linked below is the lightest in the saga of the Adler Lever action shotgun. Thought would interest you guys and Kelly, seeing as you have discussed it in our laws a few times. Could be another excuse to get Steve Lee on again. And that's as far as I'm going with that.
What? You were awesome.
I think Rob B is going to write back and say, Matthew, you're fired.
No, you can't stop now. Come on.
Nuh-uh. Come on. He's talking about the Adler lever action shotguns. He says the whole thing is a waste of time, yet again putting more restrictions on us, the firearms owners, to be seen to be doing something and pandering to the Greens. Gun Control Australia, 2 women, 1 ex-communist, and a fax machine, and the loony left. The mainstream media are just as bad, hyping up the situation, broadcasting what at best are lies, but more often complete bullcrap and deliberate omissions of key facts. That means that even though every single poll published in the last year on gun laws, etc., was at least 80% in favor of no change or relaxing the gun laws to the New Zealand or Canadian systems, they still managed to convince the public tighter restrictions on us, the most law-abiding section of society, are needed to lower gun crime rates committed by criminals who couldn't give a bleep about the law. Sorry for the rant, guys. Keep up the good work. Looking forward to the podcast every week now that I've caught up and don't listen daily. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and yours from Rob in Victoria, Australia. He says, P.S., "Good night, Kelly." And he says, "PPS. In the hope this gets in before the New Year cutoff, I'll give you 2 more random native animals appendages. This time, a brace of little penguin flippers' wings. Seeing as we have a colony of 70,000 of the little buggers with more rights than the human resident of Phillips Island, ranting again, not as if they even taste good, so I'm told. Possum. PPPS. I'm Ron Burgundy, and brass prep, like all reloading, is therapy."
Kinda is. But when you do copious amounts of it, it sucks.
Yeah.
Can't just prep 100 cases at a time. I have to try and do 5 or 1,000.
Which is why I'm still trying to find some factory ammo for the bar.
I'm like a savant. I really am. I just can't turn it off. There's a link to a YouTube video, and I think it's him. I'm not sure. Explaining this in detail as well. So maybe we could throw that link up in the show notes for anyone who is interested.
What's a brace?
It's a collection of, like a gaggle of geese or a clutch of kittens or a
brace of little penguin flippers.
Brace of little penguin flippers.
Or a bale. You know what group of animals is referred to as a bale?
Foxes.
Nope. Oh. Turtles.
A bale of turtles, of course.
Who comes up with this stuff?
I don't know, but there are like a murder of crows.
Yep. Yeah. And what is a group of turkeys? It's something else other than.
It's not it's a gaggle of geese. Turkeys is
I don't care.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. All right, I'll take this one from Kyle
because it's short.
Just for that, I'm going to find the longest one and just butcher it. All to heck. From Jason Philp. Look how long that is. You did this to yourself, Kelly. Just remember that. All right. Go ahead, Kelly. Read Kyle's because it's short.
I was
just like your attention span.
Pretty much. I was wondering if you guys have any experience.
Are you kidding? I'm not reading that long one. Sit down. Kyle says, I was wondering if you guys have any experience and advice for moving from one province to another with restricted firearms. I plan on moving from Quebec to Alberta. That's a win right there.
There you go. Stop.
You've done something good.
You won.
When you get to Alberta, they will give you a gun, so it's all good. So moving from Quebec to Alberta in the future, and I'd like to know how big of a headache I'm going to be putting myself through. Keep up the great work. Your show really takes the edge off my Montreal commute. Thank you, Kyle. Kyle, contact the CFO. They're going to want to know your address, where you're going, and that's it, man.
Yeah, it's not challenging. I moved from Ontario to New Brunswick with restricted firearms, and it was just call them up. Where are you going? Going here. Okay.
No different than, even moving through your province.
Yeah, you get an ATT to transport it to your new residence, and then you're done.
And some people don't even bother. They just pack all their stuff and go. It's my property. I'm taking it. I'm going. Yeah. And then
when they get there, they.
Yeah. The problem happens is when you join a gun club and your license doesn't match the address anymore, or all that stuff, or just a quick phone call to the CFO, and they're going to want to know your new address.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, very straightforward. People move all the time.
Cool. All right, who's got Tom? Adriel, we haven't heard from you in a while.
From Tom. Hey guys, just writing in to let you know just how shady the bearded one actually is. He showed me a picture of a Tikka T3 varmint in 223 with a 1-in-8 twist. Said, I want to sell this here fine piece of kit. Know anyone that wants to buy it? Well, let's just say that he stole $1,200 of my hard-earned money. Can you believe that? What a creep. Anyways, Trevor, you need to keep your wallet in your front pocket when he's around. Take care and shoot off the mag. Mr. Uzi.
Nice, yeah. The bearded wonder he's referring to is Jay Hines. He will soon be the clean-shaven wonder. This is a beautiful gun. He sent me a picture of it too, and before I could even start talking price, Thomas bought it from out from underneath me.
Aww.
Yeah, nice heavy barrel, stainless, beautiful gun.
I know somebody else that's selling a Tikka. Just saying.
What kind of Tikka?
Adriel.
I'm selling a 30-06.
Oh, yeah, I got one of those.
I shot a deer with it. It's no good to me anymore.
Yeah.
It has blood on its hands. All right, Matthew, would you take the one from... Sharp 97, please.
Yeah, all right. Hey guys, it's Sharp 97 here. After listening to you guys for 3 years go on and on and on and on and on about IPSC and other shooting events in general, I have decided to start a shooting league that will shoot on Sundays only. So here's my question. What will I need to do this beside a range and shooters? What kind of safety, logistics, and organization issues should I keep in mind when starting out the new league? As always, thanks for the great advice. And Trevor, a little bit more archery would be nice. Matthew got away with talking about planes way too much this year. In case you guys reset your collection, I will wait for the new year to send in my odd knickknacks. Happy Hanukkah and Happy New Year.
That reminds me, I shot bow like twice this week. I was Bathurst on Tuesday night, shot for 3 hours.
And that's enough of that. All right.
Shot
this next
for an hour
one.
today. So he wants to know about setting up a league. My first advice would be go with something that's pre-existing. And that way you'll already have an established set of rules.
Yep.
And you can get arrows trained according to a particular standard. Adriel will tell you when you start running Outlaw 3-gun league, you're making it up a little bit as you go sometimes, and your arrows are...
Sometimes
hey,
it's really nice to have a rule book to fall back on. Because you will come across a situation that you're going to need to make a rule on, and if you're like, well, I don't think it should be this, it should be that, they're going to say, yeah, well, I think it should be this. When you have a rule book, you can say, well, this is the rule.
So either become an IPSC club or an IDPA club or a PPC club. Do that in the beginning because it's all plug and play and ready to go and it all exists. Yep. And then you can change things as you go. Like, let's say next year we want to have IPSC style matches. Well, we can't because we have all the IPSC gear and the IPSC guns. But we decide we don't like IPSC anymore and we don't want to follow their rules. And we want to use Texas Stars when we're not allowed or plate racks when we're not allowed. Well, we'll do that because we'll still follow the template that already exists.
Yep.
Now, are there any like simpler or easier shooting styles to get into? I feel like a steel challenge would be easy to get into.
I was gonna say the same thing. Steel challenge is relatively easy to get into, and it's very easy to score. It's easy to set up. As long as you're strong, it's easy to set up. There's no patching targets. All you need is a can of spray paint every now and then. Yeah, steel challenge. If you want to start off with something simple, that's the way I'd go.
Absolutely. You guys nailed it. There's nothing easier than Steel Challenge. You download the stage descriptions off the internet and build it accordingly. The only challenge is you need to have some money in the bank to get all these steel props made. But again, the materials list is online. The specifications are online. The dimensions, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's all there for you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here.
Yep.
Well, and those steel targets, they're not like poppers or anything that's got motion.
No,
they're just
plates
ding. They're just ding. They're
just plates.
That
they
depends,
just ding.
Adriel. That depends. If your CFO requires them to fall over and your club does, then they fall over, guys.
Oh, there's such a thing?
Yes.
I didn't realize that would be a mandated thing for steel.
It depends. Sometimes it is.
Anyway, whatever. It's still that's the one I would look into first if I were you, personally. But yeah, I would definitely say go with something that already exists. And then if you find that it's not exactly what you want, once you know how to run it following its template, now you can tweak it and call it your own thing, like ODPL did with IDPA.
Right. So what kind of safety? Well, if you have the book, the safety will be in the book. The logistics, same thing. How to squad people, all that stuff. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Would be my advice. And steel, yeah, man, don't get much easier than that.
No, and it's fun.
Yeah, so excellent. If you have any specific questions that maybe we didn't address, let us know. Kelly, how about you take this last one from Mr. Phil, please?
How about no? All right, from Jason Phil. It is with great joy in my heart that I sit down to pen you what I hope will become my annual Christmas missive to you and yours from us and ours. It's been an exciting annum for my family and me, and I hope that a future holds many blessings for all your listeners and especially you, the hosts, even Trevor. It is cold here at the moment, and the snow finally came after a very long fall. It is the first time since I started hunting that I never shot pheasants over snow. We still have a couple of cold, windy days that made you appreciate the warm pheasant in the back of your vest. Really, you do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. A little shout out to Delano Civitaris.
Own it. Yep,
Okay.
nailed it. Yep.
Civitaris. I believe that's actually Delano from the University of Calgary Shooting Club. Anyways, hi Delano, who tried to upland game hunting unlimited out his first time. Well done, sir, with the 870 Express no less. The reason for my writing really is to present you with my Christmas wish list. So here it is. Justin Trudeau to enter a WWE-style hair match, and the loser there leaves town without their hair. Don't even care who with. Repeal of firearms laws in Canada. It's not that I don't think we need laws, it's just that I don't think the laws we have now fill their stated purpose. Next one is follow-up match with the hair match. No holds barred cage match between Wendy Kukier and Tracy Wilson, just to see if it's size or technique that matters.
Can you imagine?
Oh my god. And then he goes on to say, and like Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that. Yeah. The next one is tickets for the CCFR AGM in Calgary and a hangover-free experience for all gun owners. The next one is quality firearms safety education in schools. So he goes on to say kindergarten to grade 3, firearms awareness. Grade 4 to grade 6, firearms safety. Grade 7 to grade 10, firearms proficiency. Grade 11 and 12, CCW training, MAG 40. And this would be a prerequisite for graduation. No one makes you have a gun, no one makes you carry one, but you need to know what they can do and can't do. Safety. And then he goes on to say, the unnamed trucker to do quarterly appearances on Slamfire Radio to class up the joint. Hey! Not that Kelly hasn't done a great job, just need some recipes. What kind of recipes does he want?
Brownies and pie. And
Brownies and cookies and
yeah. Pheasant bake. Shake and bake pheasant.
Okay. Sport shooting to be recognized as Canada's safest sport for the widest Canadian demographic. This fall within Sports Canada's Sports for Life program. Oh, okay. Next one is Matt and Trevor to fly coast to coast and teach a black badge / handgun course every place they stop for fuel. I think that's an awesome idea. Should be done by the end of 2020 if they leave now. And Trevor and Brian to hug it out and explain all the rules to the hang-up game. I think it would be a national thing. Then he says, I want a Glock to introduce a revolver line. It seems like the right thing to do. And 40 caliber FN mags that fit FNS handguns. Perhaps Press Check could make this. What do you think? No?
Probably not.
That's my list. I hope we all get what I want. Merry Christmas, and I'll check in again when it's New Year's resolution time. I have some great resolutions for y'all. I'm afraid.
I'm already afraid.
I'm afraid. But, yeah, that's from Jason.
Thank you. That was a good email.
It was.
There's
I
some
agree.
Good job, Kelly.
Yeah, good
Thanks.
job.
Got through it too.
Some
Yeah,
good,
well done.
good suggestions in there, too. Some of them.
Yeah. I like how he was able to squeeze in his Christmas wish list before anybody else.
Yep.
We're not even doing the Christmas show, Jason. You're sly.
He don't
Very
care.
good. No, he don't care.
Although it's sort of on us because we could have decided to just hold it until the Christmas episode, but, whatevs.
Now, Kelly insisted on reading it, so it's on
She
Kelly.
certainly did. It is Kelly's
Yeah.
fault.
So.
Newbies. What are you going to do?
Yep. Yeah, I know. So if you would like to send us an email for us to butcher, you can do so by sending it to slamfireradio@gmail.com. No iTunes reviews because Stacy was out getting drunk at a bowling alley, so maybe there are, maybe there aren't. We'll never know.
She checked for us. I asked.
Oh.
But she was still, you know what?
She was still drunk at a bowling alley.
She said that her game was horrible. And I said,
Well, you try.
When you drink beer, it gets better, usually.
Not with the
You're more
blindfold.
relaxed.
They made them they blindfolded them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
What kind of
I didn't
bowling
know
is
that.
this?
Drunk
Blindfold?
American bowling, apparently.
Apparently.
Drunk
All
American blindfolded office party bowling.
This should be a sport.
It should be a sport. See how many lanes you can make your ball cross over.
I once got a strike 2 lanes over.
Nice.
It was
Well
an
done.
accident.
We would like another 5-star review if that's at all possible. We're only at a lonely 144 so far. 100.
I don't think this episode's making it one.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I'll shut up.
Yeah. If you don't like this episode, email us. If you like it, rate it on iTunes.
There you go.
And I got to tell you, we appreciate the effort that each and every one of you put into this review and this 5-star rating, because iTunes is a pain in the butt. And we know it's a pain in the butt. So we know what you went through to do this, and we're very appreciative. 111.
You listened to Paul Carlson, weren't you?
No, it's just a fact. iTunes sucks. That's why I don't give more podcast 5-star reviews, because it's a pain in the butt to navigate and work through and log in. And oh my God.
It is.
Anyway, so we got a bunch from all over the place. Any shout-outs? Kelly, you got a couple you want to?
Yep,
Go
I
ahead
just wanted
there.
to say thanks, Brian, for my new Vortex red dot. I appreciate it. And for Rick and Jess, thanks for hosting us. And for Rick, you really did make a difference, especially to a couple of teachers over the weekend. So that was awesome. Thank
Cool. My first shout-out is to Tim Crosno. It's pronounced 413. My second shout-out is to David Copping. David Copping is the Canadian rep for Grand Power. So Grand Power make all kinds of carry pistols and IPSC pistols, and they are coming out with a striker-fired pistol. And David has one, or is getting one, and he is going to send it to me to test and evaluate.
Wow.
Yeah. So some of the longtime listeners may remember that David sent me his Excalibur Grand Power pistol, which I really liked. And we had Remy Doucet, IPSC Canadian shooter, who was the shooter for Grand Power, who shot the Excalibur. Now it's Chris Babes, shoot for Excalibur. So they've got a strong foot in the door of IPSC, and they make a good production pistol, but they finally come up with a striker-fired pistol, and we all know Furlot likes his plastic striker-fired guns. So Dave's going to send me one out to test and evaluate for the show, so that's awesome. And to my friends and family at the CCFR, the executive and the board of directors, you guys rock. Keep doing what you're doing. I much appreciate it. What's this next one here?
Oh, that's mine. Brian just let me know I've been using too much jargon, and I don't realize it when I'm doing it, but I realize I think last episode I was talking about VTAC and that kind of thing, and we haven't really described what the heck one of those things are. So
well, there's such a thing as Google.
This isn't New Shooter Canada, so there will be.
So yeah, people should sort of there's a prerequisite to listening to this show. People don't realize.
We don't have to explain everything.
Well, I'll explain it for Brian. So Brian, the VTAC is a piece of plywood that's got holes in it that you shoot through.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see them. Yeah, they're odd-looking things. You see them in videos, and we've
mostly in what? Well, 3-gun and like tactical shooting and that kind of thing, because it's good for simulating shooting through a tight spot, and it has a variety of positions for it. So you get really good practice, and you really quickly understand that bullpups don't work really good through those things because they've got that height over bore, and they don't fit through some of the slots.
Yeah, I've never worked with one.
Neither have I. It's not a New Brunswick thing.
Oh.
Nope.
Well, there's templates online.
No, that's fine.
No, we're good.
Buddy of mine made one.
Super for your
Chad,
buddy.
he's a listener of the show. He made one of those. And
Hey,
he's got
Chad.
Good for Chad.
Good for you, Chad. You're a good guy.
That was
I
a
like
cool.
you, Chad.
middle school shop class project, wasn't it, Chad?
Okay, you know what?
Pretty
Stop
much.
insulting our listeners.
Yeah, but it's Chad. I mean,
It's
Chad don't mind.
Chad's cool.
Chad's really cool. I really like Chad. I've just met the guy, but he seems like really nice.
Hey, he makes VTACs.
Well, I mean, who doesn't?
So obviously, Adriel, we're not feeling the VTAC love. We have no cares to give.
Unwashed IPSC shooters.
That's right. No cares to give for VTACs. Let's move on to the Patreon supporters, shall we? The Patreonies. I think we should get them stickers that say, I'm a Patreonie with our logo on it. And maybe a Slamfire, they could buy the Slamfire Radio t-shirt that says, I'm a Patreonie and you're not. Maybe I was having Patreonie thoughts driving to work this morning when I should have been concentrating on the road. I'm always thinking about the Patreonies, because they're awesome.
Well, they are basically the best.
They are truly the best. Even Bolivar. So, we have a new one this week, do we not? Howard T. So thank you, Howard T., for joining the current Patreon supporters.
Let's just say he did not one-up Ryan Bolivar.
Oh, that's funny. We don't know if Howard has a sense of humor or not.
I certainly hope he does. Although if he's listening to this show, I bet you he does.
Yeah. Well, the other day, just before Bolivar hung up on me, the last thing he said was, I can always adjust that figure.
Yes.
And I have a feeling he would only adjust it one way.
Yeah, it'd be down.
And we've
chatted about that on the weekend.
I'm sure you have. And was he annoyed? Because if he was, that means we did our job.
No, of course not.
Oh.
Boring.
I'll call him and hang up on him later.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
He called me the other day. I can't remember what it was for, though. He was listening to the show, I think. He called me up just to make a point, and then that was it. He was done. It was just that one little quick thing. I was at work, and he called me. Of course, I answered my phone when I saw who it was, but it was funny. It was nice hearing from him. He doesn't call me nearly enough. Brian, you should call me more.
You just got to strike the right nerve. And if you strike the right nerve just right, it ends in a hang-up.
Look, that's my goal, really.
Yeah. So to the Patreonies, we were supposed to put out a episode for you this week, and unfortunately, our guest wasn't available. Really, it's us, but it's funnier this way.
Yeah, we're definitely blaming it on the guest. Definitely.
It's totally the guest's fault.
Yeah, it was totally Trevor's fault.
Hey,
it was my... Yeah, it was. I was double booked last night.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
they're all available.
Yeah, my bad. So
We're doing that Monday, right?
We're doing it Monday because I got a SummerSlam meeting on Tuesday. So yeah, next week, Patreonies, you'll have your bonus content. He won't tell me what the topic is. I'm a little concerned about this.
Yeah, we'll wing it like we normally do. It'll be fine.
So, all right, we're gonna wrap this up, kids, and send you all to bed. Please join one or more of our national firearms associations, such as the CCFR and or the CSSA. It's important to support those who support us. You don't have to join them both, but you should join at least one. Check us out on the Gun Owners of Canada, the most positive gun owner forum for Canadians. Like us on Facebook, please. We only have 1,557, which is not as much as the Reloading podcast, just saying.
Boo.
Boo.
Okay.
I updated it, by the way.
Good.
Just
You
now.
want a gold star or something? Take one from the list. We have 116 thumbs up. 25 gold stars because I just gave one to Kelly.
I didn't realize these were like currency. We could like use them to pay people for things.
We have a brace of little penguin flippers. So I don't know how many's in a brace, but we have a brace of penguin
Well,
flippers.
it's more than
wing.
3 because 2 would be a
Enough for
couple.
lunch.
So
That would be awkward. 2 flukes, 4 manatee flippers, 2 kangaroo thumbs, 1 safe space, an HK logo. We need a safety pin. Someone please send us a safety pin.
Please do
and
not.
then I can wear it so people know they're safe with me. Until I stick in their eye because it's stupid. 1 HK logo, 2 hobbit thumbs, 5 duck bills, 2 squirrels nuts, 2 honks, 2 1911 triggers. 1 ace of spades, a cartridge in a pear tree, a pheasant in a pine tree. That's it. That's all I
I'm
got.
giving you back your star.
Oh, thanks. The star belongs to the show again. So, listeners, just before we go, remember the Christmas show is coming up. We're not taking a break for Christmas or New Year's, apparently, because my co-hosts are just workaholics. And when are we doing the Christmas show, guys?
before
Next week?
Christmas.
Uh,
It'd be the week after next week. Next week
So,
is the
December 22nd show, December 23rd show
Yes,
will
that
be when we go through your Christmas wish list. So get them in. You got 2 more weeks to get in your Christmas wish list, everybody. Until then, this is Ron Burgundy saying, shoot Sate. Shoot Sate?
one. Shoot Sate.
Yeah, that was. I really wish you would edit because it would sound more like this.
Okay.
Until next week.
Do it as if I was editing.
I was.
And
then you
ready,
me
cut,
off.
and
Nope.
go.
No, I'm over.
Beep.
it.
Action.
Action.
Good night, Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
So if you have any comments or questions for the show, please send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Now go grab a gun and shoot something.
When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.